How you doing, YouTube? Welcome back. This is going to be part 3 of the Corvette headlight fix. And what I'm doing today is I'm just going to show you real quick how to on doing a little paint work. This is the headlight bucket that is going to go back on the car. I had a couple types of green paint down in my shop that I picked out, and doing the test spray, it looks as though this one is going to be the best match for the paint. This is the a broken piece off of the old headlight bucket. So by the time it's sprayed and painted and dried, a couple coats, it should be dark enough. It should look good. I'll take you downstairs in my workshop and I'll show you what I did this beforehand. The sanding on this. What I did was I wet sanded it with 600 grit wet or dry sandpaper, just to take the any kind of shine off of it. There was a chip in the paint right there that I used some 120 grit, no, 240, yeah, it was 240 grit sandpaper I used on it, and I was able to just do a circular motion. You got to keep the sandpaper fairly flat so you get a nice flat sand on it. But I was able to sand down the surface, the nick that was in here, and it should not show when the final primer and paints on it. With that, we'll go downstairs and I'll show you how to spray some primer on this. This headlight bucket, it appears, may have been painted one other time. I'm not real sure the way it looks. There might be another coat of paint here that sanded through. You can, when you do it, if you do it properly, you can show the layers of paint on it. So I will. The problem is sometimes if you have too much paint on them, it'll crack eventually, but I think there's only maybe no more than one coat of extra paint on this thing, so it should be okay. I left this down here. I wanted to show you. First, I washed, when I initially did this, I washed and scrubbed it with this this pad. It's just a pad that just roughens the surface up a little bit. And then on the initial sand on that nick, I used this 240 grit sandpaper, sanded it down real nice and flat, and then once that was sanded off fairly well, I used some 600 grit wet or dry sandpaper and sanded it real nice and flat. So this is the down and dirty way to go on this. It's not the professional way to go by any means, but you can go to any hardware store and get some of this primer. I found that it's a pretty good compatibility with a lot of top coats, so I just use this just to give it a pre-coat before the paint. So we'll show you how to apply this real quick. Hopefully it'll be okay. Oh, good. Should have tested this out first. Getting a little dry spray here. Oh, good. The trick is to keep the can shaking really well, which I obviously did not do before I started spraying. So I got a couple dry spots there, but it shouldn't show too much. It's spraying much better now. I really don't want to put too much paint on this, or primer on this, because I don't want to get too much paint buildup. Because the more paint on these things, the worse it can be. Oh boy. See what I did on this? I'm going to have to sand this off. This is dry sprayed. It's got some pretty bad spray on here, so we're going to have to let this dry and come back to it in a little bit and get her resanded, wet sanded on the primer side. So we'll come back to this in a bit and respray. Okay, I didn't want to waste your time sanding, showing you how to sand the dry spots I got on the paint, because I didn't shake the can up, the primer up well enough. So I simply sanded it off with some 600 grit sandpaper, and as you can see, it came out nice and smooth. And now I'm gonna apply the top coat, and we'll use this Duplicolor can of paint that I got. This is Duplicolor truck and van paint. The paint number is TO360 Forest Green Pearl Metallic. So if you should have a dark green Corvette and you need to do a little touch up on things like this headlight, that doesn't really matter a whole hell of a lot from a visual standpoint, just only when it's dark out and you've got your headlights flipped up, I would definitely go with that. Don't spend $150 take it to a body shop and have them do it. So with that, I will shake the can up and get to spraying some color on this baby. And once again, this is the color we are hoping for. And we'll see. And what I'm going to do is spray around the edges first to get coverage here, and then I'll do a total coating of the sides. But you want to get these inside areas so you don't have to worry about getting too much paint in these areas. When you do the final coat. Because if you're anything like me, I usually try to overdo it. And that always leads to runs. Which is frustrating as all get out. You have to be patient. You should put several thin coats of paint on. And don't lay it on too thick, or once again you'll get runs. But to do the the hard to reach areas first, and do the final general gloss coat, at the very end. And you really should have better lighting than what I have here. But for this particular piece, and the car isn't that great anyway, I'll let this suffice. So far so good, unless I get wacky and get too much paint on it, which believe me, I've done in the past. The main thing is to, when you're spraying it, is to keep it wet so you don't get any dry spots once it dries. It's a fine line between too much paint or not enough paint and a run. That's looking darn good. I think I'm gonna, oh look, you can even see reflection in it now. All right. I'm gonna leave well enough alone. As you can see, the area that I fixed, the little sanding spot right there, you can't even tell anything. It looks darn good. Quite proud of myself. Okay. With that, I'll, whoa. I'm going to leave that as it is, and you can see it's turned out pretty darn shiny, and it appears to be very close to the right color. Well, that's puts a wrap on part 3, painting the headlight bucket. Once the weather turns nice, I'll install it onto the headlight assembly and get this baby put back on to the Corvette as the weather permits, since it is an outdoor project, unfortunately. With that, have a great day. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't, please do. Have a great day. Take care.